Millennials might be the unluckiest generation when it comes to economic growth. Some have blamed avocado toast for their financial shortcomings.
That's always a good idea.
But there have been a series of real-life setbacks, Chanel, for these 80s and 90s babies. A recent Insider article reveals another economic struggle. They are now being outbid and pushed out of the housing market by, baby boomers. Senior real estate reporter with Insider and author of that piece, James Rodriguez, joins us now to discuss his reporting. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so break down this generational divide. And for people who are going to be watching, guys, this who are going to say, look, if it's really just a question of the fact that baby boomers have been around longer and they've saved more money just by their longevity, that necessarily doesn't mean it's unfair, but just put it into perspective for us.
So really over the past decade, despite all the challenges that millennials have faced in the housing market, they've actually been buying more homes each year than any other generation. But we saw that change last year when it was actually baby boomers who bought more homes. They accounted for 39% of home purchases compared to millennials who saw their share fall to just 28%, down from 43% the year prior. And I think that really kind of shows this divide in the advantages that older buyers have in the market right now at a time when there really aren't enough homes to accommodate this really large generation of millennials. And so we've seen, millennials really be outbid by cash buyers at a time when there's a ton of competition for homes. You have bidding wars. And when you have bidding wars, it really pays to have all cash. And that's what boomers have in the bank right now.
So what happened that changed the trend last year?
Well, we saw this survey from the National Association of Realtors. It covers the latter half of 2021 and the first half of 2022. And when you think back to that time, that was really a time of record low mortgage rates. And so you saw kind of a flood of buyers. And it's also, when you think about the millennial generation, it's the largest living generation at 72 million people. And they're all kind of right in that sweet spot for home buying, kind of late 20s to early 40s. And so you have this crush of people looking for homes. You have baby boomers who are looking to settle into their retirement property or move closer to family and friends. You have everybody kind of reevaluating their living situation during the pandemic. And so it just created a really, a tough environment for millennials to purchase a home.
But, I think when we do stories like this, we have to sort of put some context onto it and sort of step out and take a wider view, because the baby boomers came of age in the late 1960s and early 1970s in the post-World War II era, when this country went from being not an economic superpower before World War II to being the superpower, the preeminent superpower in the world. And so what happened? These baby boomers came home from the war. The greatest generation came home from the war. They had children, and those children were the benefits of the things that the greatest generation were given. They were given low-cost mortgages, not black people, but some people in this country were given opportunities to own their first homes and to have jobs that they retired from. And so that provided an economic springboard for the children of the greatest generation, which are the baby boomers. But subsequent generations, we're not living in that era now, where there's the GI Bill, and there are these low interest rate mortgages that are being provided. It's a different time. So is it fair to compare generations today to generations previous?
Well, I think it's important to remember where millennials started and where a lot of their careers began, which is kind of right in the aftermath of the Great Recession. So that hurt their job prospects early on. That kind of, we saw those impacts linger for a decade. And at the same time, a lot of these issues come down to a lack of homes right now. And home builders were actually building at a rate each year of about half of what they were, in the decade after the Great Recession, they were building at about a rate of about half of what they were doing the 3 decades prior. And so we knew that this generation of millennials was coming. It's this huge generation. We knew they were going to be aging into their prime home buying years right now, but we just weren't building enough homes for them. And so then you saw all those factors kind of converge during the pandemic when you had millennials start to think, okay, now I want to buy a home, the homes aren't there, and now I'm competing with all these other people.
And I don't know if your data shows any of this, but I'm also just thinking about a lot of friends in my circle of millennial groups, and fewer people want to buy homes now.
Well, I was going to say, that's true, too.
I mean, I'm
a Gen Xer. I'm not interested in buying a home because again, that sort of, that propaganda, for lack of a better word, where it was, hey, the American dream is owning a home and having a car in a garage and having a refrigerator and a color TV. I don't think people think like that anymore. So to me, the American dream represents other things besides the home, the 2.5 kids, the dog, and the front lawn. I mean, there's other things that I think people are interested in. So why have millennials zeroed in on home buying?
You know, I do think you see younger generations start to reconsider, and maybe some people, you know, they saw what happened to their predecessors during
Yeah.
the Great Recession. They think, okay, maybe I don't want to pour all my assets into this one thing. But I think surveys also show that a lot of millennials do still want to buy homes. I think that's still the most popular way of building wealth in America. And when you think about generational wealth, a lot of that does start with owning a home, you know, in theory, kind of passing it on to your children. And that's kind of really how you get this cycle going, where you continue to build wealth. And so I think it does remain a goal for a lot of people.
Well, we could continue chatting with you, but we've got to wrap this up for now. But James, lots of interesting points there. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks,
we appreciate
James.
it.
Thanks so much.